No matter the card for UFC 108, scheduled to take place in Las Vegas early this next year, the UFC expects about 11,000 fans to stream into the stadium and even a greater number to watch on pay-per-view from around the world. But this fight cannot happen currently in the province of Ontario or the city of Toronto due to a combination of murky government regulations and a 100-year-old law that still stands today. Previously, the UFC's biggest pay-per-view draw event has been actually in Montreal, where UFC welterweight champion George St. Pierre hails from. Canada has proven to be a huge hit for UFC and MMA in general. A recent poll shows that mixed martial arts is the fastest growing sport in Canada and could soon eclipse basketball in popularity. We all know that Dana White has professed his desire to hold the sport in Toronto, going so far as to say that he wants to hold it within the confines of the 50,000 seat plus stadium of the Rogers Centre, no less. Several sources have reported, along with Dana White, that Ontario is close to regulating the sport, which would have paved the way for an event in Toronto. Now, it would definitely make sense for the city financially. It is estimated that UFC event in Montreal generated about $50 million US for the city, not quite as much as the F1 event, but impressive nonetheless. With Toronto looking for other ways to generate revenue and raise money, this would be a perfect event, you would think. But spokesperson for the province says that while the government is aware of MMA's popularity and are monitoring the sport closely, they are not moving forward to regulate the sport at this time. Mark Scaff, a spokesperson for the Ontario Ministry of Small Business and Consumer Services, told media outlets that we are not moving to change regulations at this time. Now, I think it's close. I do think both sides want this to happen, but under the right circumstances and under the right situation. And by right circumstances, it has nothing to do with the health and well-being of the athletes involved or any other seemingly noble cause. No, it is about saving face and making sure that every beak is wet, where the potential monies do in. Now, what do I mean by this? Quite honestly, I think it's Dana White's aggressive personality and classic promoter characteristics which have hurt the UFC's chances of coming to Toronto. No politician, especially one as arrogant as Mr. Dalton McGuinty, wants to seem like he's being pushed around by a fight promoter. It doesn't help matters when the word coming out of the government is, we'll take a look at it, and the word coming from UFC is, it's a done deal, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon. It's just a matter of where and how. It certainly does seem as if the right hand is not speaking with the left. And I can assure you that the Premier of this province does not take kindly to grandstanding by any organization looking to do business in Ontario, let alone someone like Dana White. So here's what I think needs to happen for Ontario to host the UFC quickly. Number one, the personalities involved in this deal must mesh. Now, we can't eliminate Dalton McGuinty from the equation, so my thought is to eliminate Mr. Dana White. Dana White is the wrong person for this job. He is abrasive, demanding, and quite honestly, seemingly ignorant of the political processes necessary to navigate within this province. We must remember that a certain law must be changed. It's going to be a complex political process. At the very least, don't go around saying it's going to happen for sure when the other side is saying, we'll take a look at it. Two, set up a commission, much like boxing, to put pressure on the government. Hire the right people and set up the commission body in Ontario to lobby for the sport. Politicians just want to look like they've had a say in the process. Look, every major industry from tobacco to dairy has a governing body set up in the province to lobby for their own interests. That is how the political process works. And that is what the UFC must do to successfully showcase the sport here in Toronto. And lastly, number three, make sure that every beak is wet. Is it cynical? Yes, but it is what it is. We all know that everyone wants a piece of the pie. Don't get greedy and make sure that everyone involved gets a share of the money that will be generated. It doesn't have to be a share of the gate receipts. It doesn't have to be a share of the pay-per-view. But somehow ensure that the pigs at the trough are well fed. The UFC is notorious for keeping a tight grip on the monopoly, and this might be the wrong approach in trying to change a 100-year-old law to your favor. Now, these are just three of the blatant points that I brought up. There are many more, and there are very small nuances that must be able to be navigated. I think the UFC better smell the coffee right now and get this done soon, because the way I see it, Strikeforce, with their partnership with CBS and major corporate sponsors, look to be in a better position and to be a better partner for the province of Ontario. This is Megatron for whotheman.com. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this opinion. Come get me.